On March 7, 1990, doctors said these twins had less than a 1% chance of surviving their first birthday. But they did survive. They learned to walk, drive, and teach elementary school. Then, in 2021, one of them did something that broke the internet. She got married. Not both of them, just one. The wedding stayed secret for 3 years until someone found the footage. Now everyone is asking the same uncomfortable questions. How does this work? What happens to the other sister? And why were they photographed with a newborn baby last summer? On March 7, 1990, 2 babies were born, who were never expected to see their first birthday. Doctors believed their chances of surviving even a single year were less than 1%. Yet, the life that followed did not become a tragedy or a medical mystery. In many ways, the sisters who arrived that day grew up living a life they still describe as very ordinary. Their mother, Patty Hensel, was a registered nurse. During her pregnancy, every ultrasound showed what looked like a single baby. The reason was simple but unusual. The babies' heads were perfectly aligned, one directly behind the other, so the machines could only see one profile at a time. Their father, Mike Hensel, worked as a carpenter and landscaper. At one appointment, he mentioned hearing 2 heartbeats. The medical staff brushed the idea aside. Then the day of delivery arrived. Patty had a C-section at a hospital in Carver County, Minnesota. The procedure began like any other until the babies were delivered. Then everything stopped. Dr. Joy Westerdahl, who delivered the babies, later described a stunned silence that lasted about 30 seconds. The medical team stared at one body with 2 fully formed heads. The babies had 3 arms and 2 legs. Someone stepped out to tell Mike the news. The babies had 1 body and 2 heads. The twins were what medicine calls dicephalic parapagus twins, 2 heads attached to a single body. In most cases like this, the babies live only minutes or hours. Doctors told the parents the girls were not expected to survive the night. Surgery could attempt separation, but the twins shared too many organs, the same circulatory system, liver, and reproductive organs. Separating them would almost certainly mean one would die. Mike asked the only question that mattered. How could anyone choose between the 2? So the family decided to keep their daughters together. Soon after birth, surgeons removed a small, non-functional 3rd arm between their necks. Their parents gave them names Abigail Lorraine and Brittany Lee. Then they brought them home and began raising 2 daughters who happened to share one body. Each twin has her own brain, spinal cord, esophagus, stomach, gallbladder, and heart. Their spines run beside each other and meet at the bottom. They have 4 lungs, total 2 partially fused. Their blood circulates through one shared system, meaning anything one consumes enters the bloodstream of both. Inside their body, they share 3 kidneys, 1 liver, 1 large intestine, 1 bladder, 1 pelvis, and 1 set of reproductive organs. The most fascinating part lies in the nervous system. Each twin controls exactly one side of the shared body. Abby controls the right arm and right leg. Brittany controls the left arm and left leg. Even their sense of touch follows this pattern. There is only a small overlap at the center. Every movement requires perfect teamwork. Walking requires 2 separate brains to agree on every step. Yet they learned to crawl and walk at almost the same ages as other children. They learned to swim, play volleyball, bowl, ride bikes, and even play piano together. Their health can differ in surprising ways. One twin can be sick while the other feels fine. At one point, Brittany was diagnosed with pneumonia twice, while Abby remained perfectly healthy, though Abby still had to stay in bed because Brittany was too weak to get up. During that long stretch, Abby briefly mentioned the idea of separation. Brittany immediately began to cry. Abby reassured her sister that they would always stay together. After that day, the topic never came up again. As they grew older, differences emerged. Abby is 5 foot 2 inches tall. Brittany is 4 feet 10 inches. Because of the 4-inch difference, Brittany often walks slightly on tiptoe, making her left calf muscle stronger and larger. Their heads tilt in slightly different directions. When they were 12, doctors performed surgery to correct scoliosis and expand their chest cavity for easier breathing. New Germany, Minnesota, is a small rural town of about 400 people. For the Hensel family, That small size meant something important. Life felt normal. Abby and Brittany grew up alongside their younger sister Morgan and younger brother Dakota. People didn't see them as a medical mystery. They saw them as the Hensel girls. Their parents avoided unnecessary medical testing and refused to let their daughters use their condition as an excuse. The message at home was simple: you can live a normal life and chase anything you want. The twins later explained that their parents never allowed them to fall back on their condition. So they grew up believing they could do anything, and that is exactly what they tried. They played volleyball from elementary school through high school, later becoming coaches. They joined softball and basketball teams, swam in competitions, and bowled with friends. Most classmates accepted them without much trouble. Still, one thing never stopped bothering them: strangers who stared and quietly pulled out cameras. Abby once spoke openly about how much they hated that people would take pictures without asking, treating them like a spectacle instead of two girls living their lives. At 16, they faced a major milestone. Minnesota law required them to pass separate driving tests. So they did exactly that. Abby controls the gas pedal, brake, and right side controls. Brittany handles turn signals and lights. They both steer together. Their mother once joked if a police officer ever pulled them over, would both girls get a ticket? Or only Abby, since her foot was on the accelerator? In the spring of 1996, a wave of media attention placed them before the entire nation. Time magazine published a long feature titled "The Most Intimate Bond." That same month, Life magazine placed the twins on its cover with the headline, "One Body, Two Souls." Within weeks, they appeared twice on The Oprah Winfrey Show. They were only 5 years old, but quickly won over audiences. Whenever a disagreement came up, they flipped a coin. Television documentaries soon followed. In 2012, TLC launched a reality series called Abby and Brittany. The show followed them through their final semester at Bethel University in Arden Hills, Minnesota, their graduation, their travels, and their first steps into adult life. It ran for 8 episodes. Critics responded well, praising its honest and positive tone. But after that season ended, the twins stepped away from the spotlight almost completely. For the next decade, they lived quietly in Minnesota, working as elementary school teachers. Both twins enrolled at Bethel University, wanting to become teachers. Abby naturally leaned toward math and science. Brittany felt more comfortable with language arts and reading. But pursuing 2 separate concentrations meant a much heavier course load, so they made a practical decision. They followed the same education program and graduated with math laurels. Even though they share one body, their academic life was handled as if they were completely separate students. From elementary school through college, they received individual grades, maintained separate transcripts, and completed their own assignments. During exams, teachers sometimes placed a book between them, so no one could question whether they were helping each other. They took separate SAT exams and submitted separate college applications. In 2012, both walked away with their own Bachelor of Arts degree in education. The university adjusted tuition to what they described as 1.5. They were eventually hired at Sunnyside Elementary School in the Mounds View Public Schools District. Principal Paul Good later recalled that, after the interview, someone told him to run after them and offer the job immediately. Inside the classroom, Abby focuses on math and science while Brittany leads reading and language arts. One can teach while the other watches the room, answers questions, and helps students who fall behind. Yet the part of their story that sparked the most debate was the salary. Even though they hold 2 teaching licenses, 2 college degrees, and 2 employment contracts, the district pays a single salary that they share. Abby explained that from the school's perspective, they fill 1 teaching position. At the same time, 2 minds bring 2 perspectives, 2 teaching styles, and the ability to guide a classroom from 2 points of attention. By 2018, it became known that they each signed separate contracts, even though the paycheck is shared. For almost 3 years, the public knew nothing about a major event in their personal life. On November 13, 2021, Abby quietly married Josh Bowling at the Jerome Events Center. The ceremony was small and private. Brittany's name did not appear among the witnesses. The couple kept the entire event out of the spotlight until March 27, 2024, when NBC News obtained public marriage records confirming the wedding had taken place years earlier. The internet reacted almost instantly. Wedding footage surfaced on Facebook pages connected to Josh's family. One clip showed the couple sharing their first dance. The twins wore a white, sleeveless wedding dress with delicate beading, while Josh stood beside them in a gray suit. The song was "Losing Control" by Matt Simons. Josh sang along and kissed Abby. The clip went viral before being removed. Josh had served as a healthcare specialist in the U.S. Army from 2010 to 2024, deploying 3 times to Iraq and Afghanistan. After leaving the military, he became a hospice nurse. Before marrying Abby, he had been married for 9 years and shares custody of a daughter named Isabella, born in January 2016. Through the marriage, Abby became Isabella's stepmother, while Brittany became her step-aunt. All of them now live together in the New Brighton area. Public reactions ranged from curiosity to heated debate. Social media filled with questions about intimacy, consent, and what the marriage meant for Brittany. On TikTok, one clip of their first dance collected more than 1 million likes. The twins eventually responded in their own way. On March 28, 2024, they posted a TikTok showing ancient sculptures of conjoined twins with a simple message. The internet was extra loud that day, and people like them have always existed. A few weeks later, they shared unseen wedding photos set to Taylor Swift's "But Daddy, I Love Him," ending with the caption, "Forever." Then another moment stirred curiosity again in August 2025, just last year, when photographers captured images of the twins placing a car seat with a newborn baby into a Tesla in Arden Hills. 2 weeks later, they were photographed again with the baby outside their school. Neither Abby, Brittany, nor Josh has publicly confirmed whether the child belongs to them. When Josh spoke briefly with People magazine in September 2025, he acknowledged that people were extremely interested, but asked for privacy and declined to explain further. As of early 2026, no additional details have emerged. Abby and Brittany are recognized as 2 completely separate individuals. They each have their own birth certificate, social security number, passport, driver's license, teaching license, and college degree. The government treats them as 2 citizens with equal rights. Yet the world still sees one body, and that contrast creates situations the legal system was never designed to handle. Driving offers a perfect example. Minnesota law required both to pass individual driving tests. Both succeeded. Yet the photo on each license naturally shows 2 heads because separating them for a picture is impossible. Voting follows the same logic as 2 registered individuals. They are entitled to 2 votes. Criminal law raises even more difficult questions. Legal scholars often discuss what would happen if one twin committed a crime. Punishing the guilty twin by imprisonment would also imprison the innocent one, a clear violation of basic rights. No case involving the Hensels has ever tested this situation, yet the question remains unanswered. Behind all the legal discussions and headlines lies something far more personal. 2 separate minds with different personalities, living every moment inside a shared body. Abby is usually described as more outgoing. Brittany tends to be quieter but enjoys going out more. Abby feels warm while Brittany often feels cold. Coffee raises Brittany's heart rate but barely affects Abby. Brittany is afraid of heights, yet Abby loves theme parks. They even get hungry at different times because each has her own stomach and brain. When disagreements happen, they rely on negotiation. Brittany once explained that they often bargain with each other. One might agree to do something today if the other agrees to something tomorrow. As children, they sometimes settled arguments with a coin flip. As adults, the system has grown into something more flexible. Abby once said that every decision involves compromise. They take turns, look for middle ground, and try to reach a choice that leaves both satisfied. Their language even reflects that balance. When they both agree about something, they often use the word "I" and speak almost as a single person. When they disagree, they switch to using their individual names. That simple change captures something deeper about their life. 2 minds moving through the world together while slowly building a shared rhythm that works in parallel.